60 days till the expansion.
Is it really 60 days?
I think it's like 60 days.
Oh, yeah, because it's the 30th of September, and then there's 2 months, so that's about 6 days.
And per the
Shit.
leaks,
Yes.
patch is going to be in 3 weeks, maybe 4. Soon.
Yeah.
So it's all happening.
Yeah, October 25th,
Yeah.
they said was the TBD date for the pre-patch.
That is what the leak that has lined up with all the other dates that we've
Yes,
seen.
that's what I meant by they. I didn't mean they Blizzard, I meant they the leak. So yeah, that's more or less it. It's a Dragonflight time.
Yeah, so
I was definitely expecting to wait. That announcement completely blindsided me because I wasn't even at my PC. And I got home. I was like, okay, well, I'll make dinner. My phone was in my bag. I was like, okay, sweet. I'll make dinner. And I sit down. I was like, I wonder if anything's happened. And the first thing I see is a video went live. I'm like, oh, release date. Oh, so yeah, sometimes I do get the news from our own channel. So that was nice. But I fully didn't expect it because I completely expected this to be a, hey, we're going to do the Blizzard thing of, I guess, pace out our news to control the narrative or try to control the PR cycle and like constantly have headlines flowing so people will be happy and think about Blizzard all the time. I was like, okay, well, Overwatch is out next week. So I expect them to go, Overwatch is out, bam! Shit, we need to cover up the bad press. And that's Dragonflight released it. Not literally, but you know, it would feel that way. I expect them to kind of pace it that way, but now there's like the Dragonflight team, the World of Warcraft team now do whatever they want on their own time. And you're like, sweet, nice.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so essentially we know what to expect. I think this is all pretty damn good news. And we're in a funny situation now, right? Where this point in time, I said it in the video yesterday, but this point in time in the last 2 expansions, there was just a laundry list of issues. Not so. Like, I'm sure there's some classes that, or maybe people wish there's a little bit more work done. I'm sure there'll be a few little balance, hitches here and there. And obviously, we could all say, oh, we'd like more content. But in terms of the things that torpedo an expansion, because, like, ultimately, Shadowlands stuff, it would have been fine, I mean, story issues aside, if it just didn't have all the frustrating stuff. Because, funnily enough, like, I was really enjoying playing Season 4 with you. That still is Shadowlands, like, gameplay and systems and all that. It's just whenever the busy work, is taken away, it's still fun. So I think all of that proves that an expansion that's just a pretty damn solid slice of the game that isn't fighting with you is pretty big. But yeah, it's crazy. There's no big drama, right? Like, remember how there were the Azerite Wars, the Covenant Wars, we're veterans of both of those. There is no such similar thing here at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing where even people think back to Legion and go, Legion was this perfect idyllic time and it was flawless. But everyone who I wasn't even part of this because I was kind of on a break after a while and then came back to play Legion as opposed to being stuck in like the beta run and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, Legion seems fine. But in retrospect, there was a lot of people going, we told you about the legendaries, you bastards. We told you this wouldn't work. And it didn't work. And people were pissed off. But they were like, most players on average were able to look past that and play because, like we were talking about earlier, content is king and it had the content. Yeah. So that's the idea of, there's not even one of those. There's not even these legendaries are going to wreck this for certain people. The worst that's happening is this class isn't really super they're fully entirely sorted yet. And that's the kind of thing of just, oh shit, there's this crazy thing of there's nothing to be angry about. I mean, there will be things to be angry about. They will pop up because obviously that's how the world works. But there's all these ideas of just where's the problem? Where's the problem? And you could argue, well, some of that is because there's not really an awful lot advertised for there to be a problem about. It's not even like there's a shit ton of, oh, hey, here's all these systems that we think are good and they're going to be bad. There's a lot of just, no. I mean, that's it, right? If you don't do anything, you can't do it wrong. So you pare it back to the fundamentals, pare it back to the simple stuff. D2K says, no news is good news.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's it with Dragonflight. And also on the gaming channel, there's a review of the story so far by me, so go watch that after. It is
oh wow, that's coming out today. Yeah,
that's right. That was it earlier today.
Oh, wait, it's already out.
Yeah. Oh, so you can go watch it afterwards.
Excellent.
Yeah, you can watch me talk about Dragonflight story for 30 minutes, comparing it to FF, of course, which is it. I don't want to say it compares favorably, but they definitely learned some lessons. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's you know what? Overall, it's just quite nice to see, really. Yeah, so overall, basically, the news is good. It is good shit. And I think all of this just means that when we're thinking about, more future content, right, like next expansion, all that shit, they'll actually have a foundation to build upon, which, to be honest, is what they have not had, right? Legion did not leave them with any foundations because they redesigned the classes with the artifacts in mind. So then they had to do all the Azerite stuff. And then that gets removed, and the corruptions, of course, are only there for one thing. And they're still left with no foundations. And they just keep on rebuilding the same thing for every expansion, getting some form of new way of us getting power, and it ends up just running aground. But now that has stopped. And I presume that means that, like, those big... like those big crazy features, like the back-of-the-box super hype things, like, those are on the cards again for a new WoW expansion. For the longest time, a new WoW expansion has been, what twist and artifacts are we going to get?
Yeah.
Now, for the first time, they're actually free. That's pretty big. At least, I mean, for the next expansion, which, of course, is what they'll be planning now and working on now because of the whole 2-year development cycle.
Yeah, that's the one thing you notice if you watch that, like, launch date trailer. You go, where's all this stuff? Is this just dragon riding and a load of zones and talent trees? And they're kind of like, yeah? Did you want anything more? Because if we did anything more, you'd have called us out for doing it. So we're not going to do it. We're just going to have, like I talk about my review, it's like the focus is, at least for the first chunk of playtime, and ideally for the rest of the playtime, right? Because the whole idea of the faction, this is a problem where I haven't played enough endgame to like feel how it goes. But them just consistently going, here's the 4 factions. This is your endgame. Almost like doing Covenants right in a way. Not to say they're like the same in capacity because you don't choose. It is just, here are 4 factions. You get to level up in these factions. You get to do content with these factions. And at least the introduction to them is like, this is where all the efforts went. All of the effort has went into, we need to do this right because our end game round of that, and just kind of, fundamentally, they haven't done any bullshit. And I've said that like 3 or 4 times already, but that's what I end up coming to, is the opinion of, they're doing the solid groundwork to build the fundamentals of you being attached to the world of the Dragon Isles. And that's a little different from Azeroth. It's tonally very different. You can tell they're putting a lot of their kind of a very new development team onto it. So it's like, it is reminiscent of Pandaria in a couple of ways, but the tone is very different. There's a lot of like, in like the imperceptible stuff and like the smaller things, there's a lot of really different like vibes to it. That's very the new World of Warcraft team that I'm sure some people will bounce off. But to me, I'm like, you know what? All of this feels nice. There was a moment, I think I said this in review, there was a joke that made me laugh out loud. I don't think I've ever laughed out loud at World of Warcraft in my life. And it was just the way it was paced, the way it was built. I'm like, oh, some writer was like, this would be cute, but also really funny. It's just this. It's literally just a side quest that takes like 2 minutes. You just go find someone, find something, come back, and it's delivered. Like that was good content.
Yeah,
it's fantastic, incredible.
Yeah, crazy. This is all bloody insane. Oh man, about time.